everyone, and welcome to part 5 of this week's Look at Finance SEQFC Preview Show. Thanks to Vilic Law. It's the Sunshine Coast Show. And it's just the two of us tonight. They dropped like flies on us this evening. It's just Phil Dylan. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Darren. How are you, mate?
Very well, thank you. A lot better than some of our colleagues.
Yeah, they're dropping like flies, but we're sticking it out. We'll be there till the end.
Exactly. And DK, who's normally on the show, of course, they're taking on Butteren this weekend. We reckon he's dodging you, right?
Well, yeah, maybe he's trying to keep all his secrets close to his chest, you know, like he has been of where he's going next year. So we'll see, eh?
Exactly.
Well, we'll see.
All right. Let's kick off our show as we always do, looking at the NPL and the Sunshine Coast Wanderers. Now, they travelled to Corporate Management Stadium on the weekend to take on Brisbane City. Brisbane City, a team, of course, in the mire of the relegation battle at the moment, and it was a 1-1 draw. Phil, did you catch any of the game?
Yeah, I watched it. I didn't get down there to watch the game live, but I watched it. The majority of the game on TV, on NPL TV. I think probably a draw would have been a fair result, having looked at the most of the game. Brisbane City, I got a few of their players back, so it was a tough ask, especially having playing 3 games in a week for the Wanderers. But I think they acquitted themselves well. But I think there was a Shokodo had a goal ruled out in the second half, which would have made it 2-1. And having looked at it again, apparently there was an offside in the build-up, but I didn't think it was right. Sammy Knight was the judge to have been offside when he set up Show, but maybe on another time they wouldn't give that, and they could have ended up getting the win.
All right, so that result, that extra point, moves the Wanderers into 8th spot on 21 points. Redlands had a win on the weekend, so that tightens things up at the bottom of the ladder. Brisbane City and Redlands both tied on 16 points. Eastern Suburbs 1 point ahead, and Gold Coast United on 18. So looking at it, you'd still think a lot has to go wrong for the Wanderers to go down, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it from an outsider's point of view, yes, you would say that, because there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams below Sunshine Coast Wanderers. And if they do manage to get a win over the Strikers, then they'll go above, or they'll go equal on number of points with them. So, and you'd look at the fixtures for Redlands, so they've got a tough run in. So, like you say, a lot of things have to go wrong for the Wanderers, but you can't take anything for granted, I don't think.
So let's have a look at that Friday night game. Hosting Brisbane Strikers should be a beauty.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's because they're close to each other on the table. Like I said, if the Wanderers win, then they go level on points. I think their goal difference is not quite as good, but obviously if they win 3 or 4-0, then they'll turn that around. So they might get close to leaping going above them on goal difference as well. But it's a tough game. They're all tough. And like Paul Anderson said, they got this. Every game is like a grand final for them now, from now until the end of the season. So they just need to be up for it. I love the night games though, Darren. I'm not sure about you, but I think games under lights, whatever level it is, whether it be international football or watching Liverpool at the Anfield, the night games are something. I've got something about them. I don't know what it is, but it just seems to be a bit more enjoyable at night time, watching the games at night under lights.
So just on that, with the Wanderers being so successful in the past couple of seasons in the FQPL, Now that they're in the NPL, have crowds stayed steady? Have they risen? Have they dropped?
I reckon they've gone up, and the obviously the top echelon teams. Let's say, I mean, I'm not running everywhere there, but you like your Penn Powers and your Brisbane Roars and your Olympic and Gold Coast Knights. They've attracted reasonably big crowds. I mean, there's some, there's ex international football playing for those sides in some of them, like Mitch Nichols playing for the Knights. Matt Smith, ex-Brisbane Roar for the Brisbane City. So there's quality in the league. So I think people like watching quality players. So it's encouraging to the fact that they get in big crowds. And I think Friday night should be a big crowd too, because they're obviously the players who you normally would play for Budrum will be coming down to watch that game on a Friday. If the game's on a Saturday, they might not be able to get there. So because they're playing themselves, so that might add to the crowd as well. Friday night, a few drinks and a few bit of food at the best canteen on the coast. I'll get that one in while DK's not here. So yeah, I mean, I think obviously the fact that they're now getting more positive results than they were before COVID also helps, and the fact that I've also signed the likes of Tyson Holmes, Mitch Cooper, and Ryan Love to bolster their squad, plus the other guys who are still there. It's meant that they're a more attractive proposition to watch now. So people enjoy it more, and it's great to see. I mean, when the powers that be at the Wanderers decided to go ahead with this venture, this is what they were hoping for. They were hoping to play the likes of the Olympics and Brisbane Strikers and Brisbane City and the Raw, etc., and I hope to get big crowds because they knew that that's what people on the coast were wanting.
How's Ryan Love settled in?
Yeah, he's doing all right. He's I think because of the break he's had, he's let's say maybe his match fitness is not quite up to what it was. But I think Mitch Cooper struggled with that when he first came back as well. So it's not easy when you're not been playing for 3 or 4 months regularly to step back into playing 2 or 3 times a week, plus training, plus everything else that goes with it, plus the travelling up here, plus the fact that he's been in isolation before he started again. So fair play to him. He's done pretty well. He sat on I think he was on the bench on the weekend. So I think it's all about management with the players right the way through the squad with Paul Arneson. And he's lucky now that he's got a bigger squad to choose from, and a more quality squad as well. I mean, players coming back from injury. So I think he's lucky in that respect, and I think he realises that from now until the end of the season that it is completely a squad game more than it has ever been, because especially this season with what happened with COVID.
Let's turn now to the FQPL and the big result on the weekend. One of the big upsets of the season. Sunshine Coast Fire 2, Southwest Queensland Thunder, fighting for promotion, 1. Big result for the Fire.
Fantastic result. It's good for them. It's good that they're now managing to string a few results together. I'm sure Melbourne would have been pleased with that. It's FQPL is a difficult league to get out of. So I'm sure for whatever they're building there, it's a great thing for them to get results like that, and it'll be good for their team for confidence going forward, I'm sure.
We discussed on the show last week, we had Melbourne Wilkes from the Fire on the Show, and he 99% said that Daniel Carew was going to be joining the club. He then did. The club did make the announcement the next day, and then they go out and get this result. And also last week I had a chat with Melvin Wilkes about the National Second Division, and he laid out the club's plans for that. We've still got a part 2 of that interview to come yet. We've got to arrange another chat with him so that we can finish off our discussion. We've got plenty of questions for him there. So great result for the Fire. Let's have a look and see. Actually, they've got a bye this weekend with the NPL having more teams, more fixtures to take in. The QPL has a week off, so a well-earned rest there. Let's have a look now at the McDonald's Premier Men's Sunshine Coast competition. And the big news, Noosa have finally dropped some points and given all the other clubs a sniff. Phil, this is exciting news for everyone except the Lions.
Absolutely. It's but they, like DK said last week, they still find a way to get a result. 3-3 with NYU. It would have been an exciting game to watch, I'm sure. Corey Nix would have had his team fired up. And I think if I'm not sure whether Alex Barlow was playing next, Noosa player, he would have been ready for that game too. So it was an interesting result. It's now sort of like given the chasing pack a bit of a sniff, a very, very long sniff, if that's the right expression. But it's we don't know. Anything can happen between now and the end of the season. I don't think anybody's going to take anything for granted. Budrum did their bit by beating Caloundra 5-2, and BGs are closing the gap too. So it's an interesting case coming up to see how Noosa finish off the season. It's obviously in their hands because they're 10 points, whatever it is, clear at the top. So it's in their hands, and Kevin Hearn Evans will know that all he has to do is just pick up points here, there, and everywhere. It doesn't. He knows that they've probably got enough in the bag already to just to see the season out without finals. So it's theirs to lose. It's still theirs to lose, but it made it interesting for the chasing pack to see who finishes second, if that's the case. I don't think Damien Moore, coach at Budrum, or DK will be letting up anything. They won't certainly want their sides to slacken off just because they can't possibly catch Noosa. They'll go until it's mathematically impossible. And Budrum has been on a decent run recently. They'll be confident that they can pick up a few more results before the end of the season. And hopefully they've still got Noosa to play. So maybe if Noosa do slip up, they're the ones that catch them. BGs will be thinking the same.
So just running through last night's results, Noosa and Nambour Yandina had a 3-3 draw. Biwa Glasshouse had a 3-2 away win at Gympie United. Butto had the 5-2 win over Caloundra, and Maroochydore had a 2-1 win over Kawana. Now let's have a look at this weekend's fixtures. Phil, what sticks out for you there?
The game of the round, I think, is Budrum home to BG's. No disrespect to the other guys, but I think that's the one that, bragging rights will mean that somebody goes into second. BG's will pull away if they can get a win, and Budrum will go ahead of BG's if they can win. So it's up for grabs, as they say. Second place, at least second place, and whoever it is will want to move close to the Noosa if they can.
It is a best of the rest match, isn't it?
It is, I think so, and it'll be. I think my sure thing last week was there be goals. Won by on the weekend, and Budrum won that one 4-1. And there's certainly goals against Caloundra, and I'm pretty sure we'll see a few at Ballinger Park on Saturday. certainly be if you're a neutral and you want to come and watch a decent game of football, that'd be one for me, I think.
All right, looking at the other matches, Kawana. Any interest in that one, Phil?
Yeah, well, look, I think both those sides have, they've been like standout sides on the coast for the past few years, and they're going. Both of those teams, they would definitely say that they're going through like a maybe a rebuilding phase. It's the Kawana have lost a majority of their grand final team from last year. They got some youngsters coming through. The Brad Lloyd, the coach, is working away for most of the season, so he's not there at the moment. New coach at Woombai with Dave Benstead, who's done a pretty good job there. They've they might have not had the results they might have wanted, but they've been in most of the games that I think of that I can see, and they've got some a few youngsters coming through too. So
it's battle of the spoon, battle for the spoon, that game, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's and pride's on the line as well. They won't want to. Neither team will want to be finished down the bottom. And like I say, they want to. Pride is definitely up there. Maybe that means it'll be a good game with a lot of heart and stuff in it. Plenty of fight for sure. No side, neither of those two sides will want to finish with a wooden spoon. That's for sure.
Nambour Yandina are hosting Gympie United. Gympie were my good things last week, and they came through with the goods. Thank you, guys. It's going to be an interesting match, Phil.
It is, especially the two brothers going up head to head. The coaches, Corey Nix and Carl Nix. So
mixed up.
The Nixters. I'd love to be on the side to listen on the sideline, see those two. What they're like. I've never seen them go head to head on a coaching thing. So they're bragging rights. They'd want to get bragging rights in the family. I'm sure. It's definitely one. But if I wasn't at Budgeon, which I will be, I reckon that would probably be the next one I would go and watch for sure, because you can guarantee that both of those two guys will want a result, as I say, for bragging rights in the family. So Gympie have surprised a few people this year. They play some nice football, and Kyle's got them in games. Then they stay in games, which is important, and they're always likely to maybe grab a late winner if necessary. We've seen a lot of either 1-0s or 3-2s in their results, I think, this season. So they know that when they're in a battle, they can stay in the battle too, And same goes for NYU. That's a 3-3 against Noosa, goes to show that they never give up. Neither side will give up, and they got people who can score goals. Jacob Fuller for NYU, Adam Cross for Gympie. So I reckon that'll be a decent game of football as well.
And the final match on the weekend is Noosa up against Caloundra. Can you see perhaps another draw or an upset there, Phil?
Well, Ethan, the big Ethan, the centre forward, was missing our game because he was suspended, so he'll be back for Caloundra, and he's always a handful for any centre defender in the defence. So you give Caloundra a puncher's chance, I reckon. Obviously, I think Noosa would be favourites. Where is that game, Darren? Is that at Noosa?
I believe it is at Noosa, yes.
Yeah, so you'd reckon they'd be favourites to win that. But who knows? Who knows? It's
Caloundra.
Is that Caloundra? Well, then Caloundra have got more than a fighting puncher's chance than if they're at home, I think. And that's not an easy place to play. I don't think they've got a new coach. Caloundra, Dale's now moved on, gone to Brisbane City as the goalkeeper coach. So they'll want to finish the season in with a good run, and maybe they'll be looking to get the scalp of the champions elect on Saturday. Wouldn't be a bad scalp, but I'd give them a puncher's chance, I think, or more than that even, to be quite honest.
Well, for the competition's sake, we hope so.
Well, yeah, so it'll certainly put the cat amongst the pigeons if that happens. It's just important then that either Bee Gees or Budrum take advantage of that. A draw on the weekend wouldn't be any good for either of those two teams, I don't suppose, and because that would just give Noosa a helping hand, even if they do lose. I can't see them losing, but as I say, NYU weren't probably not given a chance to get a draw on Wednesday, but they did. So, as I say, and you never know in football. It's just a funny old game, somebody once said, and that's pretty true.
Yeah. In the McDonald's Premier Women's competition, the top three played the bottom three, and the top three all had wins. We won't mention the Maroochydore Woombye result, but Nambour had a 3-2 victory over Gympie United, and BG's had a 3-1 win over Clounder. Let's quickly have a look at this weekend's fixtures. United are playing Caloundra, Maroochydore are playing BG's, and Nambour Yandina up against Woombye. The match that sticks out right there is Maroochydore BG's. If Maroochydore, who are currently 5 points on top of the table, if they're going to let this slip, they need to at least get a draw out of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be interesting to see if Maroochydore carry on the way they do. I think they look like they're going to stay on top, but it's important that the other side just try and do the best to keep them in check. We don't want sides running away with competitions, I don't think, because that's not really good for any competition. So hopefully they can possible and maybe bring Maroochydore back to the pack a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll have a look at those results with interest on the weekend. Maroochydore 39 points, Nambour Yandina 34, and BG's on 30. So if BG's are to have any chance of the title this year, they need this win. All right, we might leave it there. Phil Dillon, thank you for being my sole guest this evening.
Thanks, Darren. It's been fun. It's nice to talk just like without pressure from DK. Anyway, we can sort of like we can sort of say anything we want about his prospective employee, in respect to the fact that he's going. We know he's going there. You know what I mean? And we can sort of like we know he's going there now. We don't have to sort of like pussyfoot around the issue, etc., etc. We know what he's going. I mean, we wish him good luck, and I hope he does well there, and for his sake, and it's a new venture for him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to BG's after when he goes and who takes over there.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that. That'd be he's built up a decent squad there. That'd be a plum job for an aspiring coach, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it depends on whether he takes from BG's with him to the fire. He might do that. I'm not sure what his plans are, but I think the setup of BG's is good. He's probably leaving a pretty stable situation there with the team. So it would be. I don't know whether they've got anybody in mind, but there's a fair few decent coaches on the coast, so it'd be interesting to watch that space, maybe they say.
My spies tell me they've already received approaches and are running through their shortlists.
It's not me.
All right, Phil, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Okay, no worries, Darren.
We'll go back to a foursome next week. I promise, guys. I promise. We'll cast our net a little bit wider. In fact, if you're watching this show and you think, "Hey, I've got some opinions. I think they'd be worth sharing," and you're from one of the clubs that we don't normally have on the show, then send us a message. We'll be happy to have you on. We're very keen to share the love and get everyone from all the clubs on board. So get in touch. All right, that's the Look Finance SEQFC Preview Show with thanks to Vilic Law. We will see you next week.